Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we delve into the rich tapestry of Islamic origins with The First Muslim by Lesley Hazleton. This compelling work presents an unparalleled exploration of Muhammad's life, from his early days before the divine revelation to the expansive spread of Islam under his guidance. Hazleton intricately weaves the tale of how Muhammad, the first adherent of Islam, became not just a religious leader, but a pivotal figure whose influence has spanned centuries. Lesley Hazleton, a renowned Middle East specialist, brings her extensive knowledge and insightful analysis to the fore in this book. With her expertise, Hazleton offers a nuanced account that bridges historical gaps, bringing to light the profound impact of Muhammad's teachings and the complexities of his time. Her credentials, including a nomination for the 2010 PEN Nonfiction Award for her book After the Prophet, affirm her as a credible voice in dissecting Middle Eastern history and religion. The First Muslim is not just for historians or scholars of Islam. It engages anyone intrigued by the foundation of one of the world's major religions, or those seeking to understand the historical figures who have shaped global faith traditions. Critical readers interested in the origins of Islam will find this book an invaluable resource for comprehending the contextual emergence of Islamic teachings and their enduring influence on world history. Join us as we explore the extraordinary journey of the Prophet Muhammad and the birth of Islam through the pages of The First Muslim. The First Muslim, The Story of Muhammad. Introduction. Discover the man behind the myth of Muhammad. In the annals of history, towering figures such as Muhammad often transcend their human essence to become mere symbols or legends. Yet, beyond the reverence and the monumental legacy lies the story of a person who navigated the labyrinth of life's adversities. Whether you share the Islamic faith or are simply curious about historical figures, a closer look at Muhammad's life sheds light on the raw human experiences of one of history's most influential prophets. Our journey takes us deep into the heart of a story that sees an outsider, an orphan, rise to become Muhammad, the central figure in Islam, drawing from the depths of the Quran. This narrative is not just a pilgrimage through sacred texts, but an exploration of the very core of human endurance, resilience, and transformation. Throughout this exploration, we will unveil the seldom discussed facets of Muhammad's life, his profound existential crisis in midlife, the paramount virtue of patience that he exemplified, and the intricate dance of religion and politics that has been a hallmark of human civilization. At the heart of this tale is the understanding that Muhammad's journey, filled with personal trials and spiritual quests, embodies the timeless struggle and aspiration of mankind. His story invites us to ponder not just on the foundations of Islam, but on the essence of what it means to be human, navigating the trials of life with faith and fortitude. Part 1, A Grand Vow, sets the stage for Muhammad's destiny. Before Muhammad was ever born, his story took root in an extraordinary pledge made by his grandfather, which would ripple through time to shape the destiny not just of his family, but of the whole Islamic faith. This tale begins with Abd al-Muttalib, the leader of the Hashim clan within the affluent Quraysh tribe of Mecca. His discovery of the Zamzam spring, a freshwater source believed to hold sacred properties, placed him at the envy of his peers, sparking a series of events that would forever alter the course of history. In a bold move to assert his right to the miraculous spring, Abd al-Muttalib made a solemn vow to the gods to sacrifice one of his sons if he were granted 10 healthy ones. This wasn't merely a man wagering against fate. It was a testament to the profound faith and the lengths to which he was willing to go to uphold his beliefs and his family's honor. True to the divine favor he sought, Abd al-Muttalib's request was granted, and he found himself in the unenviable position of fulfilling a vow that would demand an unimaginable sacrifice. The scene at the sacred Hubal stone where the fate of his sons was cast to chance by the flight of arrows, is a poignant one. When Abdullah, Muhammad's future father, was selected, it seemed destiny had a cruel twist in store. Yet this was a community that valued life and sought wisdom in their actions. Abd al-Muttalib's encounter with the Kahina, the priestess in Medina, introduced a crucial turning point. Her guidance on substituting Abdullah's life with a hefty offering of camels unveiled a path of mercy and showed the importance of seeking alternatives to uphold one's faith without yielding to despair. The resolution of this vow through the sacrifice of camels not only saved Abdullah but also paved the way for the birth of Muhammad to Abdullah and Amina. Miraculously conceived on the night following the sacrificial event, Muhammad's entry into this world was marked by signs of the extraordinary. However, the shadow of fate loomed large, with Abdullah's untimely demise on a trade journey the very next day, setting the stage for Muhammad's early life of adversity. This ancestral saga, with its themes of faith, sacrifice, and hope, underscores the intricate weave of destiny and choice that would define Muhammad's journey and, by extension, the foundation of Islam. Part 2, From Desert Sands to Meccan Streets, the Formative Years of Muhammad. In a journey that intertwines the mystical with the natural, Muhammad's upbringing in the desolate yet spiritually rich landscape of the desert sets the stage for his profound connection to the divine. Born into the bustling society of Mecca, Muhammad soon found his world enveloped by loss, making him an orphan in the eyes of his community despite his mother's presence. In the year 570 AD, Halima, a Bedouin woman from a tribe accustomed to the nomadic lifestyle of the desert, came to Mecca. Her intention was to find a child of wealthier parents to nurse, a common practice aimed at strengthening children in the healthier, open air of the desert. Despite Muhammad's widow mother being unable to offer payment, Halima chose Muhammad, an act driven perhaps by destiny more than chance. In what seemed like nature's nod of approval, Halima, who had arrived in a state of need due to the prevailing drought, found herself and her household blessed with abundance. Her breast milk flowed freely for Muhammad, and her cattle thrived, producing ample amounts of dairy despite the harsh conditions, turning her act of charity into an unexpected boon. However, Muhammad's desert sanctuary was not destined to last. At the age of 5, an extraordinary event marked an abrupt end to his time with Halima. Muhammad recounted an encounter of celestial proportions. 2 angels appeared before him, performing a symbolic cleansing of his heart by removing a black speck, described as the mark of evil, and then restoring it purified. This surreal experience, witnessed from an out-of-body perspective, convinced Halima that supernatural forces were at play, compelling her to return Muhammad to the safety of his mother in Mecca. Muhammad's reintegration into the urban life of Mecca didn't erase his status as an outsider. Bereft of a father's protection in a patriarchal society, he navigated his youth largely unnoticed, his extraordinary beginnings veiled by an ordinary existence. Yet, as Muhammad transitioned into adulthood, the seeds of his early experiences, marked by both spiritual mystique and the harsh realities of life, lay dormant, ready to blossom when he reached the age of 40, heralding the onset of a new chapter in his and, by extension, the world's history. Part 3. A Divine Encounter at 40. Muhammad's Prophetic Beginning. Turning 40 often heralds a period of introspection and transformation for many, a juncture where life is contemplated with renewed urgency or a desire for change. For Muhammad, this milestone was the prelude to an event that would redefine not just his own existence, but the spiritual direction of countless generations to come. Unlike the stereotypical midlife quest for youth or material indulgence, Muhammad's life took a turn towards the divine in the most literal sense. It was during the holy month of Ramadan, in the year 610, amidst the solitude of Mount Hira, just a stone's throw from the hustle of Mecca, that Muhammad found himself at the crossroads of divinity and destiny. Seeking peace and clarity through prayer and meditation in a secluded cave, His contemplative silence was shattered by an encounter with the celestial. The angel Gabriel appeared before him. This visitation was no gentle whisper of divine insight. It was a confrontation that shook Muhammad to his core. Overcome with fear, his initial impulse was to flee, to escape what he feared might be madness consuming him. The magnitude of Gabriel's presence and the weight of his message momentarily overwhelmed Muhammad, casting him into a tumult of doubt and fear. Yet, Gabriel's revelation was unyielding, entrusting Muhammad with the colossal role of God's messenger. He imparted words of profound significance, teachings of mankind's creation, the omnipotence of the Lord, and the call to acknowledge the one true God. These teachings, recited back by Muhammad in a moment of divine clarity, marked the inception of what would become the Quran, Islam's sacred scripture. Fleeing the mountain with a heart besieged by turmoil, Muhammad sought solace in the comfort of his home with his wife Khadijah. It was within this sanctuary that he revealed the extraordinary tale of his divine encounter. Khadijah, ever supportive, became the crucible within which Muhammad's initial terror was transmuted into steadfast faith. In the recounting of his experience, Muhammad, previously known for his reticence, transformed into an eloquent vessel for the divine message. The profound gravity of Gabriel's words, through Muhammad, began to take shape as the foundational verses of the Quran. Recognizing the existential shift before them, Khadijah embraced the forthcoming changes with unwavering support, understanding that their lives, and indeed the lives of all their people, were about to be irrevocably altered. Muhammad, once a respected member of Meccan society, was now to embark on the greatest role of his lifetime, the prophet of a new faith, bearing the message of monotheism to a polytheistic world. Part 4. Through Darkness to Enlightenment. Muhammad's Perseverance. Envisioning God as solely a beacon of kindness and comfort is tempting. However, Muhammad's journey depicts a deity that also demands resilience and conviction. Indeed, after his initial divine encounter, Muhammad faced a harrowing period that would greatly test his nascent faith. Following his profound experience on Mount Hira, Muhammad was plunged into a state of profound uncertainty. Craving validation or any semblance of a sign from God, he found himself enveloped in silence instead. This silence stretched into 2 long years, a period where Muhammad, already familiar with the sting of abandonment since childhood, felt profoundly alone once more. He wrestled with loneliness, debilitating doubt, and despair, a plight that would centuries later be articulated by St. John of the Cross as the dark night of the soul. A spiritual crucible that forges true enlightenment. This prolonged silence was not merely a test of faith, but a transformative odyssey for Muhammad. It was in enduring this spiritual drought that his relationship with the divine was deepened, purified. When the silence finally broke, it was with revelations of such beauty and significance that they underscored the depth of Muhammad's unwavering perseverance. The revelation known as the Surah of the Morning brought with it not just the promise of a new day, but a directive for Muhammad to lead his people towards the light of this nascent faith. The influx of divine messages that followed wove a tapestry of guidance, celebrating the natural world and urging humanity to steward it with care. These messages, like the lines of a haiku, were revealed sporadically, teaching Muhammad the virtue of patience, urging him to fully absorb and understand each piece of divine wisdom before sharing it. Among these, Surah 91 stood out, embedding in its verses a profound ecological and moral principle. Those who strive to preserve the purity of earth shall be blessed, but those who tarnish its sanctity face their own demise. This instruction wasn't just spiritual or ecological guidance, but a philosophical principle for life, enshrining respect for nature as a cornerstone of the faith. The irregular timing of these revelations, their profound depth, and the patience they demanded of Muhammad seemed to serve a greater purpose. preparing him for future trials and the monumental task of nurturing and spreading the teachings of Islam. In this way, Muhammad's journey from doubt to enlightenment, from solitude to the embrace of the divine mission, underscores not just a story of personal triumph, but a testament to the enduring power of faith in the face of adversity. Part 5. The Prophet's Call divides his own tribe. While the divine had chosen Muhammad for a monumental task, his innate nature was that of a contemplative introvert, far removed from the public orators of his time. Yet, the command from God to disseminate the divine revelations left him with no recourse but to venture beyond his comfort zone. Starting within the sanctity of his own home, Muhammad first shared the revelations with his wife, Khadija, who became his first confidant and supporter. However, it wasn't long before the angel Gabriel urged Muhammad to cast his net wider and share the divine message with a broader circle. Following these divine instructions, Muhammad prepared a feast, a gesture of hospitality deeply ingrained in his culture, as the backdrop to unveil the revelations to members of his Hashim clan. The gathering was poised for a momentous sharing of faith, but it was marred by the abrupt departure of Muhammad's uncle, Abu Lahab, a gesture that not only violated the codes of hospitality, but also foreshadowed the divisive reaction Muhammad's message would provoke. Undeterred, Muhammad hosted a second feast, where, in the absence of disruptions, he successfully recited the divine revelations. In the wake of his recitation, Muhammad posed a question that would underscore the divisiveness of his message. He solicited the support of his kin in spreading this nascent faith. The response was a palpable silence, broken only by the voice of Ali, his young cousin. In a society where allegiance to tribal norms and the authority of elders was sacrosanct, Ali's agreement to stand by Muhammad was a stark deviation, one that Muhammad acknowledged by appointing Ali as his representative. This appointment, however, clashed head-on with the tribal hierarchy, especially the principle that younger members should remain subordinate to their elders. Consequently, Muhammad's call to faith and the elevation of Ali met with stiff resistance from the majority of the Hashim clan, isolating Muhammad and consolidating the support of a select few younger members. This scenario underlines not just the challenges Muhammad faced in conveying the divine message, but also the long-standing cultural and societal norms that would frequently obstruct his path. In his quest to share a revelation that called for a radical realignment of existing beliefs and societal structures, Muhammad encountered the first of many obstacles: resistance from within his own tribe, setting the stage for the complex journey of spreading Islam across the diverse tapestry of Arabian society. Part 6. A Divine Mission Meets Political Turmoil. One might romanticize the notion of receiving divine revelations as an empowering and elevating experience. However, for Muhammad, the responsibility of conveying God's message to the people came with its own set of formidable challenges, especially as the religious message began weaving into the political fabric of Meccan society. The setting for Muhammad's public preaching was none other than the Kaaba, the heart of Meccan spiritual life. This choice was both symbolic and strategic, but it didn't sit well with the city's elite, who viewed Muhammad's actions with growing disapproval. The tension escalated as his revelations started taking on a distinctly political tone, critiquing the prevailing social injustices, corruption, and the glaring disparities between the wealthy and the downtrodden. This politicized message resonated deeply with the youth of Mecca and those marginalized by the existing power structures. Those disenfranchised masses found in Muhammad's words a beacon of hope and the promise of divine justice. However, this burgeoning support from the lower strata of society did little to endear Muhammad to the ruling classes, who saw in his message not just a spiritual challenge, but a direct threat to their authority and way of life. The confrontation between Muhammad's divine mission and the socio-political order reached a crisis point when the leaders of the Makhzum and the Umayyad clans, two pillars of Meccan aristocracy, exerted pressure on Abu Talib, the head of Muhammad's clan. Their demand was stark and uncompromising: to disavow and distance the clan from Muhammad. Abu Talib, caught between familial loyalty and societal pressure, chose a middle path, neither fully endorsing Muhammad nor casting him out. This indecision led the aggrieved clans to enact a form of social quarantine against the Hashims, effectively isolating them from key aspects of Meccan life. The sanctions meant prohibiting trade and marital alliances with members of Muhammad's clan, a punitive measure aimed at crippling both their economic standing and their social weave within Meccan society. Despite the severity of these sanctions, the tight-knit fabric of Meccan tribes, interwoven through centuries of intermarriages, proved stronger than the dictates of political animosity. Bonds of familial loyalty transcended the imposed isolation, as not all clans adhered to the boycott. This resilience illuminated the complex social dynamics of Mecca, where deep-rooted tribal connections could mitigate the impact of even the most stringent societal censure. In navigating the tumultuous intersection of divine revelation and political reality, Muhammad's mission highlighted the intricate challenges of advocating for spiritual and social reform within a deeply entrenched societal hierarchy, marking a defining moment in the early history of Islam amidst growing opposition and familial strife. Part 7. From Rejection to Refuge, Muhammad's Migration to Medina. Continuing to spread his message in the increasingly hostile environs of Mecca, Muhammad encountered mounting resistance. The situation escalated to the point where he faced outright hostility, with passers-by resorting to throwing garbage and hurling insults as he preached. It became evident to Muhammad that his mission in Mecca was meeting insurmountable obstacles, prompting him to look beyond his hometown for support and sanctuary. The turning point came during the Hajj, the annual pilgrimage that brought diverse peoples to the sacred city of Mecca. It was here that Muhammad encountered 6 pilgrims from Medina who were moved by his preaching. They saw in him not just a spiritual leader, but also a potential mediator for the ongoing conflicts back in their city. They extended an invitation to Muhammad, urging him to bring his message and mediating influence to Medina. The outreach from Medina grew stronger the following year, as 72 leaders from the city pledged their allegiance to Muhammad. This pledge was more than a gesture of support. It represented a formal military alliance, committing the Medinan clans to stand with Muhammad and his followers against any external threats. This alliance effectively integrated Muhammad and his supporters into the broader community of Medina, marking a new chapter in their struggle. The migration, known as the Hijra, unfolded in the summer of 622 AD and symbolized a monumental shift, both spiritually and temporally, for Muhammad and his followers. Leaving behind their tribes and ancestral lands was a profound decision, fraught with challenges. The tribes of Arabia placed great value on lineage and land, making such a migration a break from centuries of tradition. The path to Medina was far from smooth. The Meccans, upon learning of the intended exodus, pursued those attempting to leave, capturing some and forcibly returning them to Mecca. One notable instance involved Salama, who would later become one of Muhammad's wives. Intercepted by her family during her escape, she was taken back to Mecca, and only after a significant period was she able to reunite with Muhammad in Medina. This migration not only tested the resolve and faith of Muhammad and his followers, but also deepened the schism between the tribes. It set the stage for a period of upheaval that would ultimately require significant efforts towards reconciliation and healing. Muhammad's relocation to Medina was not just a tactical retreat, but the beginning of a transformative era for Islam, one that would significantly shape its future trajectory and teachings. Part 8. The Path to Unity. Muhammad's strategic reconciliation of Mecca and Medina. The migration to Medina and the subsequent establishment of Muhammad and his followers did not mark the end of their trials. Instead, it was the prelude to a series of confrontations with Mecca, battles that saw no clear victor and threatened to prolong unrest. Muhammad, ever the visionary, recognized that a change in strategy was essential for the lasting peace and unity of his community. In a bold and inspired move, Muhammad decided to leverage the deeply ingrained tradition of pilgrimage as a means to bridge the widening rift between Mecca and Medina. Embarking on a pilgrimage to Mecca, Muhammad and his group of unarmed followers presented the Meccans with a dilemma. The sanctity of the pilgrimage, protected by tradition and law, made it impossible for the Meccans to justify any aggression toward the pilgrims. This unprecedented situation led to a truce between Mecca and Medina, a 10-year agreement that notably permitted Muhammad to freely enter Mecca for pilgrimage in the following year. This diplomatic victory underscored a crucial turning point. Not only did it validate Muhammad's standing and message, but it also provided the tribes with a choice: to align with Muhammad or to remain loyal to the Quraysh leaders of Mecca. The symbolism of this pilgrimage and the ensuing truce cannot be understated, as it paved the way for Muhammad's increasing influence and the gradual acceptance of his teachings. The final push towards unification came from an unexpected quarter. A skirmish between tribes under the protection of Mecca and those allied with Medina presented a strategic opportunity. Seizing the moment, Muhammad prepared for a conclusive assault on Mecca. On January 11, 630, with a comprehensive strategy and an army that faced minimal resistance, Muhammad and his forces entered Mecca from all directions. This decisive move was not marked by the sword, but by a surprisingly peaceful takeover. Mecca's submission to Muhammad signified not just a military triumph, but a profound spiritual reconciliation. It laid the foundation for the city's integration into the Islamic faith, marking the unification of Mecca and Medina under the banner of Islam. Muhammad's leadership, now undisputed, heralded a new era for the region, transforming him from a prophet ostracized by his own people to the leader of a unified, burgeoning Islamic community. This phase of Muhammad's journey exemplifies the power of strategic patience, diplomacy, and the unyielding commitment to his divine mission, factors that were instrumental in spreading the message of Islam far beyond the sands of Arabia. Final summary. The essence of Muhammad's narrative transcends the bounds of mere religious doctrine, unfolding as a deeply human saga of resilience, faith, and transformation. Born into the harsh realities of orphanhood and later facing exile for his revolutionary beliefs, Muhammad's life encapsulates the trials and triumphs of an individual steadfast in his conviction. Amid societal rejection and personal despair, he never wavered in the pursuit of his divine mission, ultimately laying the foundation of Islam. Muhammad's story serves as a testament to the enduring spirit of determination and the profound impact one individual's unwavering faith can have on the world. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.